Cultivator, welcome back to my channel. So as a job search expert and career coach, one of the questions I get a lot is, Emily, how do I land a job as quickly as possible in 2020? But not just any job. How do I land my dream job? So what I wanted to do today in this video is break down my step-by-step foundations to get to where you ultimately want to be as quickly as possible. Now, let me tell you, after coaching over 600 people at this point, these steps are applicable and they're universal to any career that you're looking for. I don't care if you're entry level or you're going for a VP or even C-level executive position and everything in between. I don't care if you're going into nonprofit, government, tech, entertainment, media, like it all works. Professional services, everything. As long as you have to go through an application process or you have to interview in order to get a job offer, what I'm about to share with you works. So without further ado, let's dive into my foolproof roadmap on how to land a job as quickly as possible this year. Let's begin with step number one, which is all about boosting up our confidence. I always start people off with this because I know as a lot of job seekers, we can feel really discouraged whenever we get rejections. We might start to make the worst case interpretations if we don't hear something back and we freak out. That's like a very natural reaction. But I want to share, in order to get to where you want to be, again, we're not going for any job, we're going for our dream job. Let me tell you that patience and resilience are the key ingredients to your success. And with that comes building a growth mindset and confidence. So in my job search program, by the way, I walk you through every single step we're about to go through. But I just want to share, the first thing I have people do is build up their growth mindset and really let go of anything that's been hindering them or holding them back or just taking away their energy from focusing on the future, because a lot of us might be job searching because of a negative situation, whether it feels like we've grown stagnant in our careers, or we have a boss who hasn't promoted us, or we have had a negative experience such as being fired or let go or voluntarily resigning without realizing that it was more difficult to job search in 2020. So wherever you are in your job search, I just want to share that building the confidence up and the growth mindset is critical to your success. Now, I want to emphasize, a lot of people I work with are just focused on resumes, like, let me get there. But without this foundation, trust me when I say your job search is going to be more difficult than it needs to be. All right, so let's move into step number two, which is clarity. So without really realizing where you're going in your career GPS, right? We always know where we are, but without knowing exactly what our destination is, we tend to have multiple versions of our resumes, or we tend to take these dangling carrots in front of us that take us off our ultimate path. So what I really want to make sure you have before you start your job search is really getting clear on what it is that you truly want in this next career of yours. Now, it doesn't have to be your forever goal or your forever destination, but really making sure that you know your non-negotiables, you know what your values are, you know what kind of opportunity really matches and complements your skills, your interests, and the impact that you want to make. When you can hone in on that, only then is it ready to start working on the next step of this job search process, which is number three, personal branding. So let me tell you that it is very common practice nowadays for companies to Google search your name. When I'm Googling your name, what is populating? Are you showcasing that you're an expert in whatever it is that you say you're an expert or seasoned professional in? You want to be able to control your narrative so that organizations can really see you as the candidate that they should hire, compared to a lot of other people who have very similar skills, education level, background, experience, right? Your personal brand is what people are saying about you when you're not in the room, and you control that both online as well as offline. But one thing that I have my clients do before they step into their resume on LinkedIn is really flesh out, what is your personal brand? Because only with that clarity can you then create an effective resume and a LinkedIn. Okay, now it's time to move into step number four of the process, which is the resume and LinkedIn. So again, A lot of people come to me just wanting a resume on LinkedIn, but they haven't fleshed out the other three critical foundational steps, right? So, again, with the clarity, with the personal brand fleshed out, it's much easier to create a really great and solid and eye capturing resume and LinkedIn profile. The mistake I see a lot of people focus on is they pour all of their job search energy into their resume. They have 10 versions of it going around. They spend time customizing and tweaking every word on there, trying to beat out the applicant tracking system. But let me tell you that the LinkedIn profile is actually more important. And the LinkedIn profile is what allows you to become visible and found from your dream employers. Every single day, I always share this, recruiters are on LinkedIn because they're looking for candidates just like you. But if your LinkedIn isn't entirely fleshed out, it's not optimized, you're not going to be found, right? The other part of not having a LinkedIn profile is you're sending a signal to your employer that you're not as serious about your career as you say you are, right? And the other part behind having a LinkedIn profile that's really polished is it showcases what kind of attention to detail and what kind of employee you will be if you're given this role. So think about your personal branding, including your resume and LinkedIn, as an entire package. Think about it. An employer usually has only 30 minutes to an hour to evaluate whether or not you're a good fit. So everything is being taken into consideration as they start to vet you for opportunities and compare you to other candidates. All right, so now that we have like a strong foundation built, now is the fun part, which is step number 5, and that really moves into becoming visible. So there's so many ways to find a job. Again, those of you who follow me know that I'm not a huge fan of applying online. I feel like applying online is synonymous with going to a nightclub in Las Vegas, waiting in the general admission line, and just waiting there all night, hoping that somebody leaves the club before 2 a.m. and allows you to go inside, right? But if you are networking, if you're building internal ambassadors, if you're using any of the other 7 strategies I teach, you could be that person who goes to the VIP line, gets directly in front of the bouncer, says something to the bouncer, and the bouncer's like, we are at max capacity, but go on ahead with your friends. And you're in the club partying all night, right? I want to share that it's possible to become visible even if you don't have any connections, right? A lot of my clients actually get their jobs from completely new strangers, meaning they just messaged somebody on LinkedIn for the first time ever, and that person's like, hey, send me your resume, right? But it comes through having a strategic message, and visibility is really being able to hone in on your mission, hone in on your impact, and be able to concisely and clearly share that, and getting strategic on where to go, whether it's online or offline. I have a lot of clients who are wanting to move from New York to California, so they can't necessarily go to in-person networking events, but they leverage tools like LinkedIn, Facebook, all the different types of social media and self-selected or self-opt-in congregations of people to ask them, would it be possible to help me with my job search, right? So a lot of it is within networking, becoming visible. But when you can do that, I promise you, you are going to beat out all of the other candidates who have clicked the easy apply button and are patiently waiting there, hoping that they get an interview invitation. But meanwhile, what's generally happening is a recruiter is getting a message and saying, oh, hey, we should hire this person, or we should interview this person at least. And that person is getting queued up and pushed ahead of everybody else. So that's my goal for you in 2020, is not to be passive about your job search, right? We need to get more strategic, and we need to become more proactive in our job search strategies if we're really going to go for a dream job. And by the way, when I say dream job, I'm talking about, you're applying to companies that have a reputation, they have a desirability to them, and most likely they have at least 300 other applicants who are going for the same job. So how do you stand out, right? So we talked about, again, just to recap, the importance of building up your confidence, getting the clarity, building out that personal brand, getting your resume and LinkedIn polished, getting visible with networking and what I call amplify your job search strategies. Now it's time to move into step 6 of the process, which is all about interviewing. and really making sure that you know how to interview appropriately so that you position yourself as a very marketable and perfect candidate for this role. By the way, when I say perfect, I don't mean flawless. I have been on many interviews myself where I could have done better. I stuttered, I mumbled, but I still got the jobs, right? So it's not about being perfect. It's about positioning yourself to snag that opportunity because you know exactly what the interview is looking for. You've done your research, you've done your prep work, and you know how to close the interview. That's something I teach all of my clients, because if you leave that interview room and then you get an update letting you know that you were overqualified or underqualified, just means you didn't position yourself well enough during that interview. So there's a lot of ways to enhance and improve your interview skills. I have a video here which I'll link up in the corner. Definitely take a look at that and make sure that you're starting to think about what is it that employers really want. And doing this SWOT analysis will help you a ton in just making sure you know what you want to highlight during your 30-minute or 1-hour conversation. And so then the final step of landing your dream job is then really being able to negotiate your offer. So at this stage, congratulations, you're the finalist. They told you we want to hire you. They're extending you an offer. It's really important to make sure that you know how to position yourself firm yet politely, and also backing yourself up with accurate salary data reports. I try to combat all of my clients from different industries, from different locations, for different titles, with accurate salary data reports so that they can ask for as much as they can while being confident about what it is they're asking for. Right? A lot of employers are getting very smart about Glassdoor and PayScale, and they're just like, yeah, but these numbers are not accurate because anybody can report that. These are self-selected numbers from completely anonymous people. This is inaccurate data and information. This we can't go by. But when you can combat yourself with salary data reports from compensation analysts and compensation consultants, you could just be like, hey, look at page 22 of this report. This is what the median is. This is the cost of living adjustment. I'd really love to stay in the 50th to 75th percentile of this bracket. It's really powerful. Now, those that have been following me for some time also know that I'm a huge advocate for negotiating your salary. I've shared personally how I've let go of $5,000, $10,000, sometimes $15,000 early in my career because I didn't negotiate, only to find a comparable counterpart with the exact skills, exact title, exact experience, got paid more than me. And it chalked up to the fact that they were able to have that 5-minute conversation and I wasn't. So I, by the way, have seen my clients make crazy jumps in their salary. Recently, I had somebody who just landed a job at Facebook, and she literally negotiated $30,000 more in her package than what was initially offered. So don't be afraid to negotiate, but do make sure you master the scripts. So there you have it. Those are the step-by-step foundations that I would walk you through to make sure that you land a dream job as quickly as possible. Check out in the description box below, there's a link to my free resource library, and I've included my Dream Job Roadmap PDF, which is a whole step-by-step foundation, and it includes a lot of helpful links and articles that expand upon each of these various stages. All right, so just to recap, let's make sure we go through this one more time. Again, it all starts with building confidence, getting clarity, working on your personal brand, your resume, your LinkedIn, amplifying your visibility through networking, through 7 other strategies that I teach, interviewing, and then negotiating. When you can master those steps, you will land a dream job. If you enjoy this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and until then, I can't wait to see you continue to cultivate your life and your career.